What's up, livers? Welcome to another episode of Skill Issues, where we dissect some internet culture. Today, it is just going to be me from Gen X diving into the whole Sniperwolf JJJacksfilms phenomenon as it continues to heat up. As you see on YouTube, though, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of videos about Sniperwolf and JJJacksfilms popping up every day. In my recommendations, I see them from all types of big-time YouTube content creators. So little old me here just decided I'd hop in, not only as a therapist, but also as a bullying prevention specialist. So we know that we have the Sniperwolf apology that came up, and a lot of people are dissecting it and reading it word for word and picking it apart like a fine surgical procedure to see what the intent is behind and how much sincerity is. So let's dive into it, because I'm going to tell you what I actually like about Sniperwolf's apology. All right, so I'm going to lay it down for everybody here from a therapeutic standpoint, a completely neutral, out of the whole dramatics type of thing here, you know. I'm just going to take a step back, and I'm just going to dive in and say, I'm glad Sniperwolf made the apology. But, you know, people are going to jump on me, they're going to drop some hate in the comments. If they actually see this, who knows, because there's so much out there. I'm going to talk about why I like Sniperwolf's apology and why I think it's actually a good thing. So putting everything aside, questioning her intentions, her sincerity, or rather her lack thereof, her very tainted and unhealthy past, whether or not she was forced to make the apology, the one thing we can't ignore is the fact that the majority of her fan base is mostly kids. We're talking about underage children who are logging in daily to watch Sniperwolf make this content because it resonates with them and they love it, right? So I don't want to ignore that fact. So it seems that these kids run to her in droves, and as we all know, most kids admire their idols, and in this case, many of them, whether we like it or not, they idolize Sniperwolf. Now, add to that, most of them are not watching the videos that are highlighted her unhealthy, destructive, and dangerous behaviors and decisions. More than likely, they will just continue to watch her and are relating to and enjoying her making these subpar reactions to silly TikToks. Add to that, most of them are not watching her videos that are highlighting her unhealthy, destructive, and dangerous decisions and behavior. And I guarantee that the parents and the adults in the lives of these children have no idea what this whole Sniperwolf conflict is, or what her past is like, or anything like that. They're just happy their kids are on, you know, screen, having a good time. So they're just kind of, it's not even in their radar, like what's happening. So more than likely, these kids are going to continue to watch her, and they relate to it, and they enjoy it, and they enjoy her subpar reactions to silly content because at their age, they are processing what they see in the videos in the same way. Like, we can make fun of Sniperwolf all we want, you know. We can say it's subpar, she's not adding anything to it, which she isn't, I agree 100%. I'm not a fan of her content at all, but we also have to look at her audience. To them, that's fine. They're like, you know, this is exactly how they're thinking when they're watching this content. That's their reactions as well. So it's kind of relatable to a younger audience. And it doesn't make it great, but that's the reality. Because from the perspective of the underage kids and fans, what are they seeing when they hear even a little bit about the controversy? Number one, they're seeing Sniperwolf's behavior and decisions are in fact dangerous and bad, okay? Number two, they're seeing that people make mistakes and it is important to own up to them. And number three, that it is important to apologize when doing something wrong that hurts others. They're not thinking about the sincerity of her apology. They're not thinking about if she wrote it or someone wrote it herself. They are not thinking if JJJacksfilms is spelled correctly, or if there's a colon or a pause, or if it sounds like it's ChatGPT. They are generally just listening to the message behind it because they're children and they're not digging as deeply into it as we are. So for those reasons, why does this matter? Well, it matters because even after all of these months of drama, she still has 34 million subscribers, which in my mind is about 34 million impressionable kids. Without a doubt, it is 100% important for this fan base to see her apology. I cannot stress that enough. No matter how weak we think it is as adults, no matter what side we are on, it is important for these children to see that she has apologized. And they also will learn that it's completely necessary to apologize, especially living in an era where apologies are publicly ranked, scored, laughed at, dissected, and deemed as insincere by hundreds of thousands of people all the time, sometimes millions. It's hard, if you see apologies being dissected in the way in which they are, for the younger people in the world to actually want to apologize and see that it is an important thing to do. It may stop them from apologizing. It may prevent them from even wanting to ridicule themselves by doing so. So there's a lot of backlash from our reactions to these things that we kind of have to consider when it comes to children, which I don't think any of us making these videos thus far has actually done. We're not considering the fan base. So when somebody with her type of fan base and the number that she has goes out and teaches her fans that revenge and doxing is funny and cool and that it's okay, it's even more important that we let her apologize, no matter what we think about it, no matter how much we think it lacks sincerity. It's important that she actually does it. It's the act of being the one who apologizes, whether she's forced or not. So we need to reflect on that and think of the fact that children need to see this. Her fans need to see her try to right what was wrong. So when someone as high profile as Sniperwolf goes out and teaches her fans that revenge and doxing is funny and okay, it's even more important that we let her apologize, no matter how much we think it lacks sincerity, because these kids, these fans, need to see it. They need to see that when you do something wrong, that they make a statement against it, even if it's not written by her. To them, it actually is. And that's why they'll click and it'll connect with them that, you know what, she was wrong, it's good to apologize. So we have to give her fan base those magic moments. They're elves on the shelf, so to speak. They're fairies, the other fantasy-driven characters out there, to preserve their hope and to build an understanding that when someone does something very wrong, retaliating and revenge is not the thing to do. Even if we don't believe in it, some of those kids do. So let them believe and learn from her terrible decisions. Even if she isn't apologizing. We hope that someday, maybe after all of this, she will see that she's wrong, but we gotta give those kids that hope. And, a lot of people out there have said, it's not written by a human, it's ChatGPT. Well, I ran her apology sentence by sentence in my mind, and then I thought, I'm going to run it through ChatGPT detectors, and all of them that I ran them through said it was written by a human. So there is that. We just don't exactly know who wrote it, but, it is written by somebody. She presented it under her name, so we have to give those children that moment of hope. But as a therapist, and putting all the kids aside, breaking down her apology and comparing and contrasting it with her erratic and unhealthy behavior, it does sound as though she had someone sit down with her and teach her like a child why she did what she did was wrong, and had to give her a list of people to apologize to and the reasons behind it. So it did seem a little scripted, and maybe I'm hoping that she learns from this herself. My hope, if she doesn't quite get it now, and I really hope she does, that somewhere out there, someone said enough to make it finally click. Because a person can't change until they have a compelling reason to do so and really want to. And hopefully, this is it. Or even better, she steps back and sees other high-profile people's channels that were catering to a younger audience that were also highly inappropriate, dangerous, and toxic. And she can reflect on that and do some soul searching and start to change. Right now, she's a very fortunate person in a high standing with YouTube, and she got away with a slap on the wrist. Seriously, it's repercussions that a child would usually get if they did something wrong in elementary or middle school. That is what happened with Sniperwolf. She is very lucky. We always hear on the news people say, she was a great kid, or he was such a nice guy. And then suddenly, when things happen, things turn very tragic. So we don't know the state of mind that Sniperwolf is actually living in. So when she doxed, that was kind of a very dangerous thing. This whole scenario with YouTube and the doxing and having to apologize, this could very well be the defining moment that prevented her from doing something even crazier and more dangerous. You just never know what goes on in the minds of others, which is a scary thing, particularly those who are in the spotlight of controversy, with hundreds of thousands of people commenting about them and talking about them, and often in her case, bashing her every single day. Now we have it's off the charts. They're still bashing Sniperwolf. We're still going on. We don't know the psychological damage that we are doing to her that will cause her to do even more dangerous and toxic and self-harming behavior or towards others. So I'm hoping that, you know, when you're in this industry, you have a super thick skin. And I hope that, you know, from this experience that both JJJacksfilms and Sniperwolf have learned from this experience that, you know, sometimes there are different ways to do things to get better, more positive progress. As fellow human beings, we have to be more careful with each other and how we approach things. Not only because it's the nice thing to do, because we just never know what might push someone over the edge unintentionally and what will cause things to escalate. Like, I doubt JJJacksfilms intended for this to go as far as it did, but unfortunately he got wrapped up in it and we had just a constant back and forth that became exhausting. And it drove the content, inspired people to continue making this a talking point. So I'm happy to see that JJJacksfilms has stopped making the bingo Sniperwolf content. And even though they both really do not like each other or have the respect for one another at all, you never know if Sniperwolf actually does reach out to JJJacksfilms, like she mentioned in her apology, they very well could make progress. At the end of the day, it's not what any of us think about the apology. It's what JJJacksfilms thinks about the apology. So thank you for joining us. Like and subscribe. We hope to see you soon, and have a good one, my guys. Touch grass.